So welcome to my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi, how are you today? Welcome to Cooking Today. Glad you're here. I'm making sweets. I love sweets. I love desserts. We love a little bite of sweet. Sometimes a little bite of sweet before supper, always a little bite of sweet after supper, right? And today I'm making our Mars recipe. I'm making Snickers Brownie Cups. Doesn't that sound so good? Now I'll tell you, y'all know, I've said this several times on here, I'm not normally a chocolate person, but before you panic, I really love these. I mean, a Snicker bar, that's one of those things that I'll grab like at the checkout counter at the grocery store when I know I shouldn't, but I just want something. You know, they say Snickers really satisfy. It's the truth. Because even this girl who doesn't love chocolate, it's my go-to. It's my go-to candy bar of choice. And so what better way to make a little bite of sweet than using a Snicker bar? These, as a matter of fact, are going truth. I'm making these tonight for my son's golf team. Got a whole bunch of boys and girls at our high school, and they're getting together because they're in the middle of golf season right now, or getting, you know, kind of in the early parts, and we have to have a little dessert. And so I got signed up, and this is what we're making. So it is a great little recipe. And what's so nice about it is we're making them in these little cupcake, you know, like in cupcake liners. So they're brownies with Snickers inside. We're gonna tuck these bites, these little ones that come unwrapped, into the middle of our hot brownies when they come out of the oven. Doesn't that sound good? Oh, my stars. Okay, so let me tell you kind of what we have going on. What we need to do first, these brownies are so chocolatey. The base of this recipe actually is from my Aunt Pam. I mean, I can remember her making these brownies, or kind of the base of this brownie. Oh my gosh, I mean, probably from the time I was, I don't know, itty bitty, maybe five or 6 years old. It was always kind of one of her staples. That's a little tall. I was a little worried. I'm just gonna shove it down in there. It's gonna melt. So really the base of this recipe, like the brownie part, is my Aunt Pam's. But I've kind of tweaked it a little bit, and we're gonna, you know, amp it up and make it all fancy and stuff with these Snicker bars. Y'all just wait. So, what I'm gonna do first is carefully, and I say carefully, y'all saw how I crammed that container, that measuring cup, completely full. So we may have a mess, but it'll be melted either way. We are melting a 4-ounce bar of semi-sweet chocolate. You saw that. Just know 4 ounces. That's what's the most important. I know some recipes will say 4 squares or use 2 squares. Well, then they've got all those little grooves and things on the bars, and it's so confusing to me sometimes. I'm like, well, what are they calling a square? And what are they calling an ounce? You need 4 ounces. And that one little box that I just opened and put in there, that's a 4-ounce little container. So 4 ounces, 4 ounces. Get the whole idea of squares out of your mind, because they're not all cut that way. And 2 sticks of unsalted butter. Let me eyeball it real quick. Oh yeah, it's settling down. 2 sticks of butter and 4 ounces of the semi-sweet chocolate chips, or chocolate bar. We're gonna stir it again. And you know the best way to do this, I do this when I melt my chocolate in the microwave, which you can absolutely do this on your stovetop if you would rather. But I like to do it on about 80% power. So I put it in there for 1 minute, and then, you know how you can adjust your power level down? I did it to 80 because I feel like if it's full power, sometimes that chocolate can really seize up. It's just too hot, too much, too fast. And we don't want that to happen. We want the butter to get nice and hot, and it'll melt first. And as that butter gets hot, it will kind of start to, it starts to kind of ooze and yummy, and see how it's melting and getting that so good. So I'm gonna do it for another minute on 80% power and stir it again. And that's how you just kind of want to do it, nice and slow, almost like if you were to do like a little double you know, like a little double boiler on your stovetop. You don't want it to get hot. You kind of want it to take its time. So we're going to check on that again in a minute. Now, what I want to do is go ahead and let's put together our dry ingredients. Y'all, this is so simple. There are only a handful of ingredients. And I love it when I can say this because I really mean it. You probably have all of this in your pantry. Isn't that easy? Minus the Snicker bars. But for the brownie part, for sure. Okay, so this is 1. I don't guess I need this. That's for my flour. And 2/3 cup of sugar. Okay. And then just 1 cup of flour. That's it. And then I'm going to whisk those together. And I'm going to check. Again, yep, wasn't that good timing? I love when that works out like that. Then I'm going to check on my butter and chocolate, make sure that it's all nice and melted. And then when we come back, we're going to do our eggs and our vanilla and all the good stuff. And watch this all come together. Delicious Snicker Brownie Cups. This is Cooking Today.
Cooking Today, sponsored by West Rock Coffee Company.
Hi, welcome back. We are making our Mars recipe today. Isn't that fun that we have Mars on for the fall? Who doesn't love a little chocolate and some candy? We're doing some really fun things. Can't wait for you to see them. We are making Brownie Bites today with Snickers nestled right down in the middle. Isn't that fun? It's like a surprise. Remember like Cracker Jacks? When you be digging around in a Cracker Jack and find the surprise? That's like these. You get a little bite of Snickers right down in the middle of this delicious, super chocolatey, homemade cakey brownie. So good. Okay. Did you see how beautiful? When we left, remember I said we were melting that nice and slow. It only took 2 minutes. 1 minute at 80% and then the second minute at 80% power. And look how beautiful and smooth that is. Now we want to let this cool for just a minute, so I'm going to let that just kind of sit. We have mixed together, well, I haven't mixed it, but we've poured in our flour and our sugar. And I'm just going to do a little pinch of salt, maybe just about a half teaspoon or so, not a lot. And then I'm just going to take my whisk and combine those dry ingredients real quick. It's easier to incorporate, to mix your dry ingredients right now than just dump it all in together, wet and dry and everything, because then you just may not get a good mix. So there's our dry. And we're going to let that sit a minute. So we're kind of getting our little prep going here. Now we're going to do our 4 eggs. I know 4 eggs is a lot. These are cakey. You know how sometimes you'll get like a mix or a recipe and it'll say use 3 eggs if you want them to be fudgy or use 4 if you want it to be cakey? Well, I think you've heard me sing this song before. I generally lean more of the fudgy side. Sam loves cakey. So if he offers to ever make brownies at home, I see him. He's sneaking the extra egg. Isn't that ornery of him? He loves them that way. So my theory always is whoever's making the dessert gets to choose. If I'm up here making it and cleaning the dishes, I get fudgy. If he's doing it, he gets cakey. But these, we want these cakey, and here's why. Because we're going to put a Snicker down inside of these. I know, isn't that good? Down inside, and it's going to kind of get melty a little bit molten, a tiny bit chewy, because you kind of get down into the middle of a Snicker bar. It's so good. And so that's kind of gooey in the middle. We kind of want the outside to be cakey. It kind of has to hold up. And then we're going to do a little tablespoon or more, if we're feeling like it, drizzle of like a good chocolate topping on it. We've got plenty of gooey in these brownies. So we need kind of the cakiness of the 4th egg. And I always use just a large brown. So we did all 4 of our eggs here. We've got our dry sitting here. We got our eggs. We're going to whisk together real quick. And then vanilla, good old Unamazed vanilla. And we're going to do a teaspoon of this and then sometimes a little more. I just love it. I'm going to do a teaspoon and then just 1 extra little glug. for good measure. Because, you know, vanilla is probably my favorite part of any dessert. It's my favorite bite. It's my favorite scent. You know, when that hits those eggs right there, vanilla is my favorite. And now, what we're gonna do, you know how we have this cool for just a minute? We didn't want to pour this in hot because it would scramble the eggs, and we don't want scrambled eggs. So, we're gonna do just a little bit at a time. See how I'm kind of whisking as I go? So we're kind of cooling it as we pour it. Because if we were to dump, like I just said, this whole thing of hot butter and chocolate, the hot all at once would just scramble the eggs like crazy, and they would get kind of clumpy. So we're gonna do a nice, slow drizzle and just whisk, 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 and it incorporates it real well at the same time. You should smell this. If you're a chocolate person, you're gonna love this recipe. Like, love it. Okay. So I've done that with my balloon whisk. You know, my big balloon whisk, like we all have, because we really needed to get that nice and combined. And now we're gonna take our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients, and I'm gonna transfer to my dough whisk. We sell these at Unimaze. They're online, they're like $10. I use them all the time, all the time. You know, when you have a thick batter like this, we're gonna go ahead and pour this in. Oh gosh. When you have a thick batter like this, especially something that you don't want, you kind of want the clumps. You don't want this to necessarily be completely smooth. I almost licked it, did you see? I hesitated, aren't you proud? I'm so, I've got so much restraint and maturity. I'm gonna lick this one though, because this is the one that's got the sugar in it. So this dough whisk, what the dough whisk does is it kind of is like a spatula and a bowl scraper and a whisk all combined. And it just really incorporates this batter beautifully. No trouble at all. And here's the thing, you don't want to get in here and stir this like crazy. You just want to incorporate it till it's exactly mixed. You don't want to go nuts. You don't want to do it with a hand mixer or a big mixer, because it will make the dough the batter way too stringy. So, where we go, we got it. Okay, when we come back, we're gonna line our cups and stick these in the oven. This is Cooking Today.
Iced tea, sponsored by Lipton.
What I love most about the farmers market is the music, the art, the food, the people themselves. That's local, that's Fayetteville.
Local means homegrown.
My kids can run around, they can choose what she wants to get and eat.
I like growing and selling directly to the public.
And the market is kind of what community ought to be.
Visit us Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday on the square.
The Fayetteville Farmers Market.
100% local.
And loved.
Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. We are making Snickers Brownie Cups. Doesn't that just sound good? I mean, my goodness, what's not to love, right? I am lining 2 of my muffin tins with little paper cupcake liners. You could use whatever you wanted. I just got these fun. I just love the fun ones. Aren't the fun ones cute? I use white ones and I use like the little crafty natural ones, but I sure am drawn to the cute ones. Aren't y'all? Especially if you're making these for like a tailgate party or, I don't know, birthdays. There's all kinds of things. Back to school and teacher appreciation, just whatever. These are fun. Love them. I'm kind of embarrassed to tell y'all how many options that I have in my little cabinet. I probably should have a whole cabinet just for all my themed liners. It's a problem. They should have a meeting for people like me. Okay, I have lined my cupcake tins. Now let me tell you, I always, when in doubt, I know people always ask me, why in the world do you spray them? Because isn't that what the paper cups do? Yes, in theory, but wouldn't it be a crying shame if we couldn't get these cupcakes out or these little muffins out? So what does it hurt? It never hurts. So I just spray the bottoms. I don't do the thing where I go like this, you know. Plus that's a little bit dangerous when you're walking through your kitchen. You certainly don't want to step on it, and you really don't want to clean that film all over the place. So I just give the bottoms one little good squirt with baking spray. And y'all know I'm a big fan of Baker's Joy because it has flour in it. So it really, really helps release, and that's the goal. We want to release them and eat them. Okay, we used our dough whisk and incorporated our wet and our dry ingredients. My oven is on 325. It's a little low. I know you're surprised. You probably thought I misspoke, but I didn't. It's 325. And we are going to fill these little cups. I use this little, lever. I guess it's an ice cream scoop. I call it an ice cream scoop. I think it's for baking or whatever, but with the lever, it is such a great little pre-measure for your muffin cups. And it's probably not entirely full. It's probably just a little bit short in my little, my little scoop. But we want to put this in here where they are probably, I'm going to say maybe 2/3 of the way full, maybe a little bit fuller. These are not, they're going to bake up. But they're not going to bake up the way that you would see like a cake, a full-blown cake recipe would. Like sometimes you'll do a cupcake or a muffin recipe, and they get tall, real tall. These are not going to necessarily bake up that tall, and plus we're going to put our little chocolate across the top, which is delicious. So it's okay that they don't go all the way up to the top and over. We don't want that. Okay. And I think for the sake of time, we'll just do 12. I know everybody's sad in the room because we're dying to eat these actually. But I already told everybody in this room, all the crew that loves chocolate, especially Timmy. He's a Snickers guy. So I had to break the news to him today. Timmy, we're making Snickers cupcake bites, or whatever. What did I call these? Brownie Cups. And you can't have one because I've got to take him to the golf team. So I'll have to make him a batch of his own sometime, right? Poor Timmy. That's mean of me. But we've got, look at all these Snickers. Look at all these Snickers that we've got from Mars. So we have plenty of sweets in this room. He's going to be just fine. Okay, so we have got these filled. I have my oven on 325. I'm going to put these in, and they only bake about 15 to 20 minutes or so, okay? So I've told you before, you need to check set your timer for 15 minutes is what we want to set our timer to. And then you want to start to kind of check them. They should start to kind of look dried out a little bit around the outside. You know what that looks like. And then kind of start to crack a little bit on top. That's just that sugar and that chocolate and that butter. That's what we want. And so it should start to kind of crack up just a little bit on the top when they are finished. You can do the toothpick test if you would like. They need to be a little bit gooey in the middle. We do want them to be, they need to hold because we want to be able to eat them. But they do need to be just a little bit soft in the center. So 15 to 20 minutes, just kind of check them. You'll know. The reason we want them to be kind of soft in the center is because we are going to actually cut them open and stick a Snicker down the inside. We really are. While they're hot. And then we're going to make a little topping of chocolate chips and coconut oil. And we've done this before too. It kind of makes like a little magic shell topping. Kind of firms up just the littlest bit. And then just for garnish on the top and just to cut all of this sweet. We've got this cakey brownie. And we've got the Snicker right in the middle that's got caramel and all kinds of good stuff in it. And then this little chocolate layer. Just to cut the sweet and for a little fun garnish. And to just kind of have a little nod to our Snicker bar, we're going to do salted peanuts on top. When we come back, we're going to do all that. Snickers, chocolate, salted nuts. You're not going to want to miss it. This is Cooking Today.
Candy sponsored by Mars.
Hi, welcome back. We are wrapping up Snickers Brownie Cups. These are beautiful. They're so sweet and chocolatey and cakey right now. Aren't they pretty? Can you see how I said that I don't know if you can tell, that they would crack just a little bit at the top, and then you can tell that they're starting to dry out. Now they're going to crack at first, after when they very first start to kind of be close to being done, but you don't want to take them out if they're soupy in the middle. So they're gonna crack maybe the first time you check them, but you really wanna be sure that they are cooked and not soupy in the center. Now, for the fun part. We're gonna decorate them, make them delicious. So we have these little bitty, the ones that are unwrapped, these little baby Snickers. And what I'm gonna do is while these are hot and they're soupy in the middle, I'm going to, I took my knife and I cut a little slit and then stick that right down inside of all of these. And then what we're gonna do after that, since we've made kind of an ugly little spot on the top, I just took some chocolate chips and some coconut oil and melted them in the microwave. And so what we wanna do on these, where we've made the little hole for the brownie, or for the Snicker, is take a little bit of this and kind of fill the hole and make a little decorative, pretty dollop around the top. That's so fun. And then you're gonna wanna let these cool. You cannot eat them hot. You're gonna need to let them cool. And then you are going to love every bite. Look at this. We're gonna top those off with chopped salted cocktail peanuts. That's it. Looky there. Oh my goodness. Snickers Brownie Bites, great for tailgates, great for whatever, you name it. You're gonna love it. Try this recipe at home. Love every bite. This is Cooking Today.
Cooking Today, sponsored by West Rock Coffee Company. Kitchenware is provided by Una Mays. Groceries provided by Harv's, Hometown Fresh. Online Elements sponsored by Fayetteville Farmers Market.